This video will demonstrate how to use audio to MIDI technique for both the mumble input and the mumble output in order to regenerate the original CW audio and key it with a second code practice oscillator software called Bipper. For the first part, for the mumble input, we're generating a CW note from this audio to MIDI application called Regate. I have CW audio coming into the mic jack. It goes into this audio to MIDI Regate application, which tells this next application called Bipper, which is the code practice oscillator that sends out a sine wave with 0 rise and 0 fall time. But it sends this out to exactly duplicate the original that was coming on the input of this audio to MIDI. So this is just MIDI information going to the MIDI output, going to MIDI input of Bipper. From Bipper you get a sine wave output, CW note that you have to filter. Since it has 0 rise and fall time edges, it's very harsh. This filter then goes to a volume control for my side tone monitoring. It also goes out to a second volume control for the mumble input. So let's demonstrate that. Okay, so that works pretty good. And now the second part of this is how to take the mumble output, go to a second audio to MIDI application, a second Regate with the same setup. And here's what that sounds like. We have a channel in mumble, it's already sending some stuff. Okay, let me let you hear what both of those sound like. Let's hear what mumble sounds like without the regeneration and the MIDI keying. Here's what it sounds like. You can hear the basics of the tone, but it's fuzzy and it's got a lot of hash on it. Okay, now here's what it sounds like once you clean it up again. Big difference. Almost a perfect CW note. And you can create it yourself however you like through these applications here. The first one we're going through is this engineer's filter. Let's bring that up. And you have lots of choices in here, so you fiddle with all those and see which one you like best. How many orders do you like? What is your center frequency? Sometimes you can go up or down from that. It makes it sound a little bit different, and you may prefer one over the other. And let me take that off and let you hear what it sounds like. So we'll bypass this for a second. Hear like clicking. And that's the Bipper with the 0 rise and fall time. So we set the stage right here with this one. Then we put the following edges and polishing filter on it with M equalizer. That's what this is like. Let me take this off, and you'll hear a little more percussion if you listen closely if you have headphones. You may be able to hear it with speakers, but here's what it sounds like without this filter. There it is. In, filter on, filter off, filter back on. And one of the advantages of regenerating the mumble output note is you can not only make it sound as good as you possibly can with these applications here, but you can change the pitch no matter what it is originally. So it doesn't matter what the sender is sending at. You're going to change that to your favorite note here. Then you can fine-tune the note without having to go into this audio to MIDI to change the MIDI note. So this MIDI note sending out at note 76. And then from there, I'm using this application M-Freak Shifter to change it. So let me bypass it for a second. And I'll bring up the C-tuner so you can see where we're at. That's this one here. Okay, just put it back in. So I've set it to about 720. fine tune it. That's close to where it was. So all those apps are pretty useful. Okay, so let's show you what this sounds like on the input here again. That's after it's been regenerated, and here's what the audio sounds like without this filtering system. We'll take it right over to the audio output, straight from the mic jack over to here. Kind of a solid square wave sound, so yeah, it gets the job done, but it sure is nicer to do it this way. Sure sounds a lot better to you and to everybody else. Okay, so what about desktop audio? Well, that's where these apps come in here, and I also have FL Digi doing it the same way. Mumble is using the ASIO Bridge application, which comes with its own set of virtual audio cables, which we're using for the input. And we'll go to the audio output. So both of these are set for hi-fi cable input on the output and hi-fi cable output on the input section. I'm also in exclusive mode, so you get faster response time to the server and back. So let me demonstrate a ping test here. I'll send a note. And I need to open up the channel again. There we go. So let's go to a different room for a ping test. Okay. And I'm using the regeneration. That's why you hear the different notes. And here's what it is without exclusive mode. Just a little bit longer. It's about, I think you save about 60 to 7 milliseconds when you go exclusive. Just a little more delay there. Let's do it. Apply again. So almost twice as fast. Don't forget to take this off a server when you use this loopback test and loopback mode to the server. And hit apply, and then you're back to normal. Okay. And this ASIO bridge, choose your ASIO device, which in this case is jack router, and it's all set in the parameters of the options here. That's where I have mine set for max latency. And in Windows, you have to match the sample rate to the sample rate that I'm using for jack router, which is 48K. So in the Windows properties, make sure that you go in here, and it has to be 48. It'll come default at 44,100, so you have to set it to 48K. Once you've done that, then now this will all match up. If you don't, you'll get an error code, and this will start flashing. And it's better for right now until he fixes a bug in here that you don't minimize it, just put it out of the way. Otherwise it'll freeze and you can't get to it. Okay, let me show you how to make one of these systems yourself. It's a little bit of work, but it's worth it. So I have browser audio coming in through this application. This is like an ASIO bridge. Let me demonstrate that we can hear it first. We got Bob Heil ready.
Really needs to be said and proven to you is
my gain for this.
Desk stands. We make a desk stand. I love desk stands from the looks of them, but they are.
So we got browser audio and any media audios coming in, and we've set for our default playback device this line 1 from Breakaway Pipeline. So that's where this is playing through, and anything else it's just standard. If you had Windows Media Player or something, it would go to Breakaway Pipeline 1, and then it's coming in through here, going through this volume control right here, and into the sound card so I can hear it. And how we do that is through a VST host and another VST plugin called Restream. So here we're sending audio. So anything on Breakaway line 1 goes to this streaming app. This streams it locally through the local broadcast, and you identify it up here. And for this one I just have default, which it comes, that's how it comes, so I just left it that way. And I'll bring Bob back for a second.
A real drug to a lot of people. Why?
So we have
because it allows you to get away from the microphone. And when you do that, listen to what happens. And this is science that dictates this. When you double...
Okay. So out of here, it goes to that streaming app. So then you set up another instance of this in some other VST host, which in this case we're using Carla. And it's sort of like Katia. It has its own connection bay, but it also has its own VST host system. So you just click Add New Plugin, go down to Restream, and then say Add Plugin. Then let's bring that up. So stereo audio from browser, and you can rename this. Click Rename, and that's what I did here. And there it is. So now it's receiving, and it's identifying the stream through default. So if you had a different name, it would disregard this. So if I had, I'll show you that in a second. So let me bring Bob back.
Double the distance of your mouth from the microphone.
It changes. So you can have multiple of these running at the same time.
Okay, so you start backing up from the microphone. That's these guys. They got their push to talk up here, and they're pushing the button and talking.
Okay, so that's for the browser. And you can set up as many of these as you want, and it's doing a pretty good job. And the latency is very minimal. And we've done that with FL Digi too. Okay, so that's that one, and now we have FL Digi. So I set up another one. So FL Digi is going to send out a breakaway pipeline 2 in this instance, not 1. And you can have as many pipelines as you want when you set this up. And I'm not going to go into that because there's other videos that'll explain how to do that will be in the show links. And I'm sending FL Digi in QRQ mode so that we can adjust the timing just a little bit different than you can otherwise. So right now I'm trimming off a little bit of compensation off of each element, the dit and the da, this way. I'm setting up edge timing, as you see here, using the Blackman instead of the Hanning. And that's what that sounds like. Okay, so let's get this up here where you can see it. And we also have on this right side here, I've got everything covered up. So we'll send a file here for a second. Grab something. And I've adjusted this level here, and you just double click and it brings up all the VSTs. It has its own, and level was one of those that it comes already on there. And so you set this up to stream out on line 2, don't need an output. This audio coming from FL Digi on line 2. Breakaway pipeline 2. I'm using the WDM-KS on FL Digi on pipeline 2. So it's sending it out on that virtual audio cable. And there's the control panel. And look for overflows or underflows. This is how I have this set up, so you can freeze frame this and take a look at it. Set yours the same way if you want. Everything's set at 48K. Very stable so far. And you need this running so that you get the noise off the cables. Breakaway has noise on here. Again, the the link about all this will be in the show notes. All you need to do is just have this on the desktop. Before you activate anything, you just minimize it. That takes the noise off the cables. So we have everything running here. So it's coming into Restream. It's activated there, and then in Cadia, it's right here. Okay, so I'm just coming out the 2 so that I can adjust the QRQ elements in FL Digi. Let me change that a little bit and you can see. So let's take some of this. You're getting heavy. So you adjust that until you just like it. Just the way you like it. And same thing here. This will also fine-tune. So you can take this up and down to how. And this weight is different. This weight is by precise time, 0.1 of a millisecond, where this weight is a percentage thing. So again, you just adjust this however you like, the dot to dash ratio. So everything changes. Each of the waveforms are slightly different. So it's a lot of fun. Then hit save. And you're good to go. Hit tab. That sends you to the end of the buffer, but it keeps you in transmit. Very nice. Okay, so that's FL Digi, and that gain is over here for the CW. So that if you don't want to monitor it at all, if you're just signed in with FL Digi and don't want to hear your side tone, of course. And there we have it. And this gain is the mumble output. So if you want to quiet it down. So those are very handy. What's nice about them is they stay in place until you minimize them or get rid of them. You can always bring them back with Carla by tapping this button here. So this is a lot of fun, and I'll leave this right here for a second so you can see all these. And the directory, you just load up all the free ones in the directory that you choose, and I think it's just VST plugins in the 32-bit area of Windows. I have 64-bit running, but this is 32-bit only, so that's the only kind of VST plugins I run, and all these are free. And it was a good find finding Bipper here. Let's try this one. It has different very nice. Even has okay, I think that's about it. The rest of this is kind of an advanced setup, but it sure is useful. It's a lot of fun, especially being able to keep the pitch the same where you want it, keep the sound of your CW note the way you want it for everybody that's on Mumble output. So no matter what their pitch is or how it sounds, it doesn't matter. It's going to sound just the way you set it on this lower tier here. You can regenerate it, send it to engineer's filter, send it to the volume control, to the frequency adjustment, to the final polishing filter, get a tuner so that you can see where you're at if you want to, and then send it to the sound card. Alright, thanks for watching.